Hey guys, quick video here on the rack and pinion and hose replacements on a 2007 Cadillac SRX. This should be good from like 02 to 07 or 8 or something like that, so, or maybe to 09, something like that. Anyways, it's not too bad of a job. It's a bit time consuming. There's some hang-ups, but anyways, the way you're going to get the old rack out is you're going to start over here with your outer tie rod end. You're going to take the pin out and the castle nut out. You're gonna whack this a few times with a hammer and just pop it right out. It takes about 3 whacks and it should just pop right down. Next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna disconnect this electrical cable. You're going to disconnect this bolt here out of the steering shaft. Before you do that, make sure that you take your seat belt, string it through the steering wheel, and click it in place. That way the steering wheel will not move and your clock spring in the steering wheel will not move. That is very, very important that you follow that direction. If you do not, and that steering wheel turns too many directions out of place while this shaft is removed, your clock spring will be off and your electronics won't work and a lot of bad stuff could happen. So anyways, make sure you do that. So we're gonna pull that, There's a small bolt right here. It's like a 10 millimeter. This just has a plate that pops back and these 2 lines will come out. When you replace these lines with new lines, make sure you put new O-rings in them. Do not forget the O-rings or it will leak. You have a pressure hose and you have a return hose, which they recommend that you replace. So we'll go over that. Now, with the hoses, what I had to do is there is a plastic piece right here with some rivets. I just pulled all of that out so that I could get to this particular 10 millimeter bolt right here. It has the low pressure line. There's another one right down there, which you can see. And then it goes over there. So the high pressure line just goes on the other side. It has 2 of these deals on it, right? So you're gonna take these out, you're gonna put the new rubber on, you're gonna put the old clamp back on and then bolt it in there, okay? So I highly recommend once you're in here, you're also going to get under here, right here, and you're gonna pull this nut off. It's like a 21 millimeter nut. It's on the top of your motor mount. What this is gonna allow you to do, it's gonna allow you to take a jack and put it right underneath your oil pan right there. And you're going to take your jack, put a 2x4 block on it, and then jack this engine up so that you can get all of this done. You have to jack the engine up in order to get the rack and pinion out, okay? So we got the tie rods out, we got this off, we got the bolt off, we got the connections off. We've started to take off the 10 millimeter nuts for the lines. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to get under the vehicle, and the rack has 2 bolts. You can see it. There's one right there, and the other one goes all the way down there. So you're going to disconnect those 2 bolts. Those are what hold the rack and pinion steering system in. And of course, once you've got those bolts out, once you've got, oh goodness, once you've got your tie rods out, and you've got everything loosened, then you're going to come to the top of the engine. And out here at the top of the engine, in order to do this job, you have to remove this bar. So you remove the 2 bolts here, 2 bolts on the other side, remove this strut bar. Then you're going to take this out. Your hose here, you're going to just take this whole intake piece out and put it off to the side so you can get to the step. Once you've got this strut bar off, then you can put your jack under there and you can drag the engine up, and it will go clear up to here. To give you enough room to then come back down and wiggle that whole rack and pinion steering system out this way. So again, just make sure what you do to this side, right? Obviously you're going to do the same to the other side. The tie rod ends, the bolt on this side, bolt on the other side, and of course the motor mount bolt so that you can get it out. Let's see, last thing that we want to go over then would be the lines. You know, again, we've got high pressure and a return line on these. They just kind of go through the body. Be careful, just get the nuts out, the bolts out first, the little 10 millimeters, and then you can slowly work them out. They come out pretty easily. But anyways, they route over here. Okay, so the lines go, the first one goes right there. That's a high pressure line. The fitting right there was very difficult to get at just because of where it's positioned. Couldn't get a wrench on it. The only way I could get it out was to go to the parts store and buy some crow's foot wrenches. So it was an 18 millimeter crow's foot to get the OEM out, and it was a 19 millimeter to get the new one in. So I did need 2 of them to get that high pressure line off. Now the return line sneaks under here, under the car, and it's right under the radiator. We're gonna find that there was actually a big plastic cover here, a skid plate that I took off. And once I had the skid plate removed, I had access to everything down here. So we have the cooler hose to the reservoir, and we have the cooler to the steering gear. So I just took those, disconnected those, took the old ones out. I actually went up to the top of the engine and unbolted the oil cooler and dumped it out and put it all back together. So that's really it. Once you've got everything buttoned up and put back together, you're just going to fill your fluid reservoir, obviously, with new fluid. Go into the car, put it key on, engine off, and just turn your wheel back and forth like 20 times. Come back out to the reservoir in between each few. Make sure that the reservoir is full. Keep doing that until it's not taking any more fluid in, and then go ahead and start it. And again, just keep checking the fluid, make sure it's topped off where it should be, and also make sure it's not leaking. Once all of that is done, it's just a matter of taking it in and getting it aligned. This one definitely needs aligned. It's pulling in one direction once I get it in, so I got an appointment tomorrow morning. We'll get it in, get it aligned, and she'll be good to go.